At my company's year-end party, after insulting me in front of the entire company, my rival sobbed during her apology, saying, "Fine. I only told clients you were incompetent because I didn't want them to hire you instead of me." HR sat frozen. I stood calmly as our compliance officer walked to the stage, termination papers already in hand. She was fired on the spot, and the video of her meltdown hit 1 million views within a week under. Biggest office self-destruction ever. I've been with Hayfield Marketing Group in downtown Chicago for over a decade. I'm 36 now. I started right out of college as a nervous kid in a rented suit who barely knew how to work Excel. Over time, I became one of the top client strategists in the company. I wasn't flashy, but I was steady. I handled big accounts, brought in solid numbers, and helped train new hires. I kept my head down and did the work. That's probably why Caroline hated me. Caroline came in 2 years ago, mid-pandemic, when the company was trying to reinvent its image. She was about 30, with this whole power woman vibe. High heels, tailored suits, loud voice in meetings. She introduced herself like she was already a VP. Right away, I got a weird feeling. You know when someone smiles at you, but it's only with their mouth? That was her. From day one, I knew she wasn't here to be part of a team. She was here to climb over anyone. For the first month or so, she played nice, asked questions, shadowed some of my meetings. I thought maybe I had misjudged her. Then I started hearing little things. She'd tell our shared project coordinator that I didn't like sharing data, that I kept secrets. She'd come into meetings late and say, "Sorry, I was fixing a mess left by the other team." My team. Then one of my clients, someone I'd worked with for years, sent a strange email saying they were taking a new direction. That same week, Caroline mentioned she'd just brought in a new account that used to work with another strategist. She said it while looking me straight in the face. That's when I started keeping notes. I made a folder on my home drive. Every weird email, every comment, every meeting where she twisted something I said. I didn't say anything to HR yet. I've been around long enough to know HR usually does nothing unless you hand them a fire. But then it got personal. She told one of my biggest clients I nearly tanked a campaign last quarter. Total lie. That campaign had outperformed projections. The client forwarded me the message. She had BCC'd them on a snide email to someone else. I printed it, took it straight to HR. They said, "We'll investigate." Nothing happened. So I stopped trusting them. I started trusting myself. I rebuilt my connections, called clients directly, explained things without naming names. I got a few back. Others were gone. But I kept going. I showed up, smiled in meetings, and did my job like nothing was wrong. But I watched her. And I waited. I knew if she was bold enough to sabotage me in private, she'd eventually slip in public. And she did, in front of the whole company. It was our year-end party, this big thing we do every December. We rent a fancy hall, hire a DJ, cater the works. Everyone wears cocktail attire and pretends they're not co-workers for one night. Our VP does these gag awards. Caroline got best dressed for Zoom calls. I got most likely to calmly survive the apocalypse. Everyone laughed. Then, out of nowhere, Caroline took the mic. It wasn't her turn. The floor was supposed to go to the CEO next, but she just walked up and grabbed it like she owned the room. She said, "I've learned a lot working here, mostly how some people just coast on old client goodwill and expect to be carried." Everyone went quiet. She looked straight at me. Didn't say my name, but she didn't have to. I smiled. Didn't say a word. She kept going. Maybe if some people actually worked instead of playing the victim, they'd have clients left. There were some nervous laughs. People looked around. I didn't move. Then something happened I didn't expect. Mike, our quiet, serious compliance officer, stood up from the back of the room. He didn't say anything, just started walking forward. That's when Caroline lost it. She turned red, eyes wide. Then she snapped. "Fine. You want me to say it? I only told clients he was incompetent because I didn't want them to hire him instead of me. Is that what you wanted to hear?"
People gasped.
Our CEO looked stunned. Mike walked up with a white envelope in hand. Caroline froze. HR was behind him, pale as ghosts. He handed her the envelope and said, calm as a priest, "Caroline, this is your formal termination notice. Please gather your things." She tried to argue, cried a little, kept saying, but he made me feel like I'd never get ahead. No one moved. Security walked her out 15 minutes later. And here's the kicker. One of the interns had been recording the party on their phone, just for fun. They caught the whole meltdown. Caroline's speech, her confession, the moment Mike handed her the envelope. It got uploaded that night. By the end of the week, it had over 1 million views. Title: Biggest Office Self-Destruction Ever. Continue the story, add conflicts or story twist, keeping the details sharp and the tone dramatic. Use simple words. No ending yet continuation. The Monday after the party, our office felt like a crime scene. No music, no laughter in the kitchen, just people walking on eggshells. Everyone had watched the video by then, even people from other departments. My inbox was flooded with short, awkward emails. Hey, wow. Glad that's over. You okay? I just replied, thanks, to most of them. I wasn't mad. I wasn't even relieved yet. I felt nothing, like my brain hadn't caught up with what happened. But the fallout had just started. That same afternoon, HR called me in, said they were conducting a full internal review. I thought they were going to apologize, maybe even offer me a promotion. But instead, they told me there'd be a temporary freeze on promotions and client transfers until further notice. I sat there staring at them like they'd grown extra heads. You're punishing me? I asked. No, the head of HR said quickly. This isn't punishment. It's just containment. Containment. Like I was a threat. Word got around that the higher-ups were worried about lawsuits. Caroline's confession on camera made it clear she had sabotaged me. And I had already filed a complaint months earlier. Now, they were panicking. By Thursday, lawyers were showing up in the office. I was pulled into a meeting with legal and asked to hand over all emails, notes, and documents related to Caroline. I did, every last one. They looked through my folder in silence. Page after page. Why didn't HR act on this earlier? One of the lawyers asked. I didn't answer. I didn't have to. The internal tension exploded the next week. One of the HR managers quietly resigned. 2 others were moved to different teams. My own manager, the one who ignored my warning about Caroline months earlier, suddenly got real friendly. Started inviting me to meetings I was never in before. Kept saying, we should rebuild trust. But here's where it got messy. One of my former clients, one I'd lost because of Caroline, called me out of the blue. Said they saw the video. Said they had a lot of questions. Apparently, Caroline had told them I was under investigation. Not true, not even close. But it had been enough to scare them off. Now they wanted to come back. I said I'd have to check with legal. The client said, don't bother. We've already contacted the company directly. We'll only work with you, or not at all. Suddenly, I was valuable again. Leadership held a closed-door meeting. When I walked in, everyone stood. Weirdly formal. The CEO said, we owe you a public apology, but right now we want to offer you something first. They slid a folder across the table. Promotion to Director of Client Strategy. 20% salary increase. Full control over which clients I wanted to work with. But there was a catch. They wanted me to sign an NDA. It would cover internal events, and I'd agree not to speak about the Caroline incident again, to press, online, or even future employees. It was clear they wanted the video to be the only story. No follow-up.
No interviews.
No public lawsuit. I told them I needed a day to think. When I left that meeting, I already knew my answer. But then something happened I didn't expect. I got a call that night from Caroline. She had gotten my number from a mutual contact. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. She sounded wrecked. Said she'd been staying with her sister in Indiana. Couldn't find work. Her name was all over Google now. No one would touch her. She asked me, begged me, to tell people she wasn't always like that. Said, you won, okay? You won. Please, can you just help me undo some of this? I didn't say a word. Just let her cry. After a few minutes, I hung up. I didn't block her. I wanted her to know I was still out there. Still watching. A week passed. I still hadn't signed the NDA. They kept circling me, HR, legal, even the CEO. All polite, all careful, all pretending they weren't desperate. They knew if I spoke to the press, this whole thing could blow even bigger. They wanted to bury it, tie it off clean. But I wasn't in a hurry. Then another twist landed in my inbox. An anonymous email. No greeting, just a subject line. Thought you'd want to see this. Attached was a PDF, 83 pages. It was a timeline, internal emails, chat logs, meeting transcripts, all of it about Caroline. But not just Caroline. It included names from upper management, people who knew what she was doing, who supported her, who told her to keep pressure on underperforming staff. There were lines like, if she can knock him down a peg, maybe he'll stop coasting. Let her try. He's too safe anyway. They were talking about me. It wasn't just Caroline's ambition. She had been encouraged. Suddenly, the NDA made sense. It wasn't about her meltdown. It was about what that meltdown could expose. I replied to the anonymous sender. Who are you? They replied 5 minutes later. Just someone who got tired of watching people like you get crushed. Then they were gone. No name. No more emails. I printed everything. Put it in a folder. Walked it straight into the CEO's office and dropped it on his desk. He stared at it like it was ticking. Where did you get this? I didn't answer. Just looked at him. He sat back. Quiet. This wasn't the plan, he said finally. No, I said. But it was yours. He tried to pivot. Offered a better promotion. VP level. More money. Longer NDA. I walked out without saying a word. That same night, I got another call. This time from a journalist. She worked for a mid-sized business outlet. Had seen the video and heard rumors that there was more behind it. She wanted to meet. Said she'd protect my identity if I chose to go on record. We can use initials, she said. Or call you something else. I didn't say yes. But I didn't say no either. Then, just when I thought it couldn't go deeper, someone else broke. Mark, one of the senior analysts, a guy I'd known for years, pulled me aside in the hallway. Said he had something to tell me. He had been part of the internal push to sideline me. Had helped redirect clients. Had given Caroline my numbers. I didn't want to, he said. But they told me if I didn't help, I was next. He handed me his keycard and said, check the archive room. Bottom drawer. Blue folder. I waited until after hours. The folder was there. Inside. Signed memos from directors. Internal notes about managing out long-term staff to make space for new talent. My name was listed second. They had planned this. The sabotage wasn't random. It was part of a slow-motion purge. And Caroline? She was just the tool they used. Now she was gone. But they were still here. And now I had proof. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on my couch in the dark, folder open on my lap, reading the same lines over and over. I had been working in that company for 11 years. They had smiled in my face, toasted champagne with me, sent me birthday cards. All while planning to cut me down slowly, quietly. I thought Caroline was my enemy, but she was just the knife. The hand holding it, that was the company. And I was done playing defense. The next morning, I declined the promotion. They were stunned. Tried to schedule another talk. I ignored them. Instead, I called the journalist back. We met in a diner on the South Side. I handed her everything, the anonymous files, the memos, the names. I don't want my name in it, I said. She nodded. We'll run it with redactions. But the story will be real. It went live 2 weeks later. Headline. Whistleblower reveals toxic culture, sabotage, and secret termination plots at Chicago marketing firm. The article spread like fire. Industry blogs picked it up. LinkedIn lit up. Some of our biggest clients started pulling out. One major tech client terminated their contract outright, citing internal trust concerns. And then came the resignations. First it was the HR head, then one of the directors, then 2 board members. They didn't even try to explain. Just vanished. I heard rumors of lawsuits. People jumping ship. The CEO called me again. Left a voicemail I'll never delete. You didn't have to destroy everything, he said. You could have walked away clean. But I wasn't trying to walk away. I was burning the whole thing down. A week later, the board voted the CEO out. Quietly but fast. They tried to clean things up. Offered me money, a lot of it, to settle. I said no. Instead, I used the attention to launch something new. I called 3 old clients. 2 of them said yes. I started a small firm. Just me and a laptop at first. But word spread fast. By summer, I had 8 clients, 2 full-time staff, and a waiting list. Caroline? I never heard from her again. But her LinkedIn stayed blank. Last I checked, the video had over 2.3 million views. People still commented on it weekly. As for me, I kept working. Quiet. Steady. The same way I always had. But now, when someone tries to lie about me, or throw dirt on my name, they think twice. Because they know what happened to the last person who did. And the company that helped her. They tried to bury me. They just forgot I wasn't dead. I was watching. And I was never going to let it go.